Hi, welcome to the Jungfrau region. My name is Raphael and I work as sales assistant at the Jungfrau region tourism. So welcome to our beautiful holiday destination at the foot of Eigenmönch and Jungfrau. Today I want to take you on an adventure on a 4-day hike along the Via Alpina through our holiday destination. But let's start from the very beginning. It all started on a sunny Sunday afternoon last summer in the middle of July. A friend of mine and we took a train in Interlaken and we drove all the way to Meringue, and then there we switched to a bus and we drove up to Engstlenalp. This Alp lies in the Haslital and it's situated at the border of a lake, and the surrounding is wonderful, beautiful mountain panoramics from the Jungfrau region. So we settled down at the lake and we let the landscape take impact on us. It was very hot, of course it was summer, and we took a bath in the lake and this was very refreshing. So on Engstlenalp there is also a cheese diary where guests or tourists, they may observe how they are producing cheese and everything. But unfortunately this only took place in the morning, so we were only able to see all the tools, how they are making cheese. It was very interesting too, but sadly we couldn't see how they are producing cheese. But we also bought a piece of cheese to eat along the Via Alpina. We spent the whole afternoon at the lake and we enjoyed the nature, the beautiful panorama. It was just fantastic. And also in the evening we had a wonderful sunset, and then we went to bed in the Hotel Engstlenalp. Over there it was very calm, so we had a very relaxing night. And then early in the next morning we started our adventure, and we started the first stage that was from Engstlenalp via Alpine Tower to Meiringen. We skipped the breakfast in the hotel because we had a goal, the Alpine Tower on Planplatten. So we hiked early in the morning up to the Balmer Eckhorn, and once we arrived there, a small mountain ridge path led us all the way to the Alpine Tower. As we arrived at the Alpine Tower, we were very impressed about the breathtaking view in front of us. We saw the whole mountains of the Jungfrau region, all the way down to the Haslital and all the way to the Lake Brienz. The Alpine Tower is also very famous for its breakfast buffet. So we went to the restaurant and we enjoyed a rich breakfast. While we are eating, let me give you some impressions and information about Haslital. So in summer, it's a paradise for hiking, for families especially. It has a lot of experience trails for families. For example, the Muckestutz, there are 2 trails telling the history of the oldest dwarf from the Haslital, and it's especially for families. All along the trails, there are several interactive activities where the children may witness the adventure of the dwarf and all his friends. So for example, there is a small suspension bridge, a zip line, a labyrinth, and many more other activities to explore. Then next to the Muckestutz, there is also a second family hiking trail. It's a so-called Kugelweg. This is a hiking trail of around about 1.5 hours, and all along the hiking trails there are several marble runs. And the children, they may play with it, but it's also a funny experience for the parents, for example. In winter, over there is a ski area, and it has a lot of slopes, beautiful view, and it's also very nice to visit. So after the breakfast, we started the descent towards Meiringen. We had to walk down 1,700 meters, and this was quite tough. But then in the late afternoon, we arrived in Meiringen and we checked in the Hotel Victoria. We took a small nap in our room, and after this it was time to explore Meiringen. So Meiringen is very famous for Sherlock Holmes, because in Meiringen there was the final problem of Sherlock Holmes, and it was also the location where he died. This was at the waterfall Reichenbach. So next to this location there is also a small museum in the town, the Sherlock Holmes Museum. This is very beautiful because it's a small church in the middle of the town, and you can see how it used to be in the Roman. So next to this there is also a gorge close to Meiringen. It's reachable by train within several minutes, and then you can visit it on bridges and tunnels. And this is a very beautiful natural spectacle. So in the evening we had dinner in the Hotel Victoria, and it's well known for its gourmet dishes. And I can promise you, the dishes, they were fantastic. And also for dessert, we had a specialty from Meringen. Maybe you already know it, it's the Meringue. This was a very nice dish. So the next morning, we left Meringen and we made our path towards the Reichenbach Fall. So along the waterfalls, we hiked up into the Roselaui Valley. And on this stage, the proverb, "the way is the goal," counted. We passed dreamy forests, walked along the mountain stream Reichenbach and crossed flowering alpine meadows. And always we were accompanied by a beautiful scenic view onto the mountains. So at around about noon, we arrived at the Hotel Roselaui. This is a Peleppo Hotel and it's open since 1771. And its style is very famous and it looks very nice from the inside and also from the outside. Just a little bit further up the road, there is a second gorge in the Haslital. It's the Glacier Gorge, Roselaui. But because our goal of the day was Grindelwald, we skipped it directly and walked further. But I can really recommend to visit this gorge as well, because it's very different next to the Aare Gorge. It's very narrow, and when you walk into the gorge, you can really feel the power of the water. And on hot summer days, it's of course also a refreshing experience. Again, a little bit further up the road, we passed by the Chalet Schwarzwaldalb. It's a very beautiful house. It's also a hotel. You can go and eat there. And next to it, there is an old sawmill powered by water. And this is also very interesting to visit. But we also skipped this one and we walked towards the mountain pass Kleinescheidec. After 2 more hours, we then finally reached the top of the ascent of today. And once we arrived there, we were speechless about the view that presented us there. When we walked up and past the ridge, we could see the whole view over Grindelwald and all the mountains over there, and this was unique. Luckily, up there at Kleinescheidec there is a mountain hotel, and it has a restaurant with a big terrace. So we went over there, we had a small lunch, and we could enjoy the great view. And what else do you wish? It was very beautiful. So after the lunch, we descended toward Grindelwald, and in the middle of the descent, we made a short break at the Alpine Bird Park. So this park has several alpine birds, such as owls, crows, and many more. It's very interesting to visit all these birds. So in the evening, we arrived in Grindelwald and we checked in the Hotel Spinne. There we treated ourselves to a bath in their infinity pool. This hotel is very famous for its pool, and yeah, it was fantastic. While we're taking a bath, let me give you some more information about Grindelwald. Grindelwald lies at the foot of the world-famous mountain Eiger. So that's why it's also called the Eiger Village. And it's a paradise in summer as well as in winter. In summer there are many mountain activities, such as the Grindelwald First. It's very adventurous activities over there, like the first cliff walk, the zip line, the first glider, scooter bikes and mountain cars. Then we have the Pfingstdeck, we have the Buursalp and also the Mannchen, and of course the Jungfrau top of Europe. There are countless kilometers of hiking trails and biking trails, so for beginner all the way up to profies. And in winter, it's also a wonderful destination because there are 2 ski areas, and with over 160 kilometers of slopes, it's a beautiful destination for winter holidays. Next to skiing, you can also do several other winter activities, such as winter hiking, snowshoeing, Nordic skiing, and also sledging or velogemmel. And maybe you already heard about it. This is a vehicle invented in Grindelwald, and you definitely should try it once you are in winter in Grindelwald. In the morning of the 3rd day, we enjoyed a breakfast in the hotel, and then we visited the Glacier Gorge in Grindelwald. Yes, also Grindelwald has a gorge, but it's fascinating too, because it has some adventurous activities inside the gorge. For example, in the middle of the gorge there is a big net spanned across the gorge where you can walk on. Or then, for the bravest of all, there is the canyon swing. So high above the gorge on the platform you get connected to a rope, and then you can jump into the gorge and you have a free fall, and after the rope is catching you, You swing through the gorge like a big pendulum. So that's what exactly my friend and I did, and I can tell you, it was so thrilling. And then, full of adrenaline, we continued our journey on the Via Alpina, but today, to save a little bit time, we cheated a bit. We took the train from Grindelwald to Kleinescheidec. And while we are at it, did you know that in Grindelwald we have a new gondola? It's part of the new V cableway project. Maybe you already heard about it. So in Grindelwald there has been built a big terminal with connection to the train and a big parking garage. Then there are shops and rental stores. It's like at the airport, for example. And then there are two new cable cars. The one leads up to Mannlichen and the other one leads up to Glacier. And this one is the Eiger Express. It was opened in December 2020. So with it, you're just within 15 minutes from Grindelwald up in the mountains. In winter you can go skiing, in summer you can do many more summer activities, of course. And for guests traveling to Jungfrau Joch, you even save more time. So when you go up to the Jungfrau Joch, you go by cable car, by the Eiger Express, and then up by train to the Jungfrau Joch, and you save 47 minutes. So once we arrived at Kleinescheidec, it was already noon, and we ate lunch in the mountain restaurant Grindelwald Blick. And it was fantastic over there. In front of you, you saw the Eigermönch and Jungfrau, and yeah, it's just breathtaking. Then after the lunch, we made our way towards Wengen, and the Via Alpina leads all the way along Eigermönch and Jungfrau, so beautiful views are guaranteed. Then after around about 2.5 hours, we arrived down at Wengen, and it's a beautiful mountain village. It's car-free, and that makes it very special. So we heard that in Wengen there is a mini golf course. It's called the Lauberhorn Crazy Golf. And Wengen is also famous for the Lauberhorn downhill races in winter. So on this golf course there are several parts of it. For example, there is the Kernen S, the Austrian hole, and many more things. It was a very funny golf course. So with a big smile, we managed also the last part of this trip, and we arrived down at Lauterbrunnen. Once we were there, we were very surprised about the breathtaking landscape around us. There are big steep rock faces, countless waterfalls falling down, and the mountains in the background. It's just fantastic. Some say there are even 72 waterfalls in this valley, so have fun to count all of these. Tonight we checked in at the Hotel Silberhorn in Lauterbrunnen, and then we searched for a good restaurant on TripAdvisor. We decided to go to the restaurant Weitstübli because it was rated best on TripAdvisor, and we weren't disappointed about it. It was very good. You have seen all the beautiful mountains and the waterfalls around you from the terrace of the restaurant, and also the biggest waterfall, the landmark of Lauterbrunnen, the Staubbach Fall. And then it was already here, our last day of the adventure. Very happy about what we reached, we started the fourth stage of our trip. We started in the early morning and we visited the Staubbach waterfall. At this waterfall, there is a gallery that leads behind the waterfall, where you can experience the feeling to be behind the waterfall. And then, normally, the Via Alpina leads from Lauterbrunnen directly up to Meren. But we decided to take another path, and we walked at the bottom of the valley towards Stechelberg. In the middle of the way, there was a second waterfall. It's called the Trümmelbach Falls. They are inside a gorge, and a visit is very worth it, because through tunnels and bridges, you can go and visit all these 10 waterfalls. And when you are inside this gorge, you can really feel the power, and this is very unique. So after this, we walked further to Stechelberg. There we took the cableway up to Meren. Because today's stage has a climb of around about 2,000 meters, we allowed us to cheat a little bit. So Meren lies on 1,600 meters. Over there we explored the village and we went to a grocery store to buy some supplies again. And while we are buying these supplies, let me introduce you Meren. So Meren is, as well as Wengen, a car-free village. As I said, it lies on 1,600 meters, And its geographical location is like a terrace. And from this terrace, you see the Eigenmünchen Jungfrau perfectly in front of you. It's a paradise in summer for hikers or for nature lovers that are searching for some tranquility. And it also has a very famous mountain peak. It's called Schildhorn Piz Gloria. Some of you may already know it. It was a film location of a James Bond movie back in 1967. The movie called On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Maybe you've already seen it, I don't know. So now the location up on the top has been rebuilt into a restaurant. And the special thing about this restaurant is the ground in the restaurant slowly is turning. So once you take a seat over there, it takes 45 minutes and you make a 360-degree turn and you have seen all the panoramic view from this mountain. Then there is an exhibition about the James Bond movie and several other activities. In winter, over there is also a ski area and it has many highlights to offer. So for example, you can ski all the way from Schildhorn, that lies approximately on 3,000 meters. There is the steepest slope in the Jungfrau region with a gradient of 88%, and there is a snow fun park, a ski cross slope and many other things to explore. So then when we bought all these supplies, we made us on our way towards the mountain pass Sevinefurke. We walked across several Alps with cows, we passed several mountain streams and walked through flowing alpine meadows. At round about noon, we arrived at the mountain hut Rotstock, and over there we had a light lunch and immediately continued our trip, our hike towards the Sevinefurke. It was still 500 meters to climb up, and then after around about 1.5 hours again, we managed the top of the ascent. A short break, and then we directly continued again for the descent. And we walked towards the Griesalp. At the end, we had to stress a little bit, because the last bus from Griesalp down to the valley and back to Interlaken was at 5:43. But no worries, we managed it. So I'm very happy, but also exhausted. We arrived at Griesalp and we traveled back to Interlaken. Of course, you could stay the night at Griesalp and then continue your hike along the Via Alpina towards Kleinescheidec or even further. But for us, it was enough. So as a summary of this 4-day adventure, I can say it was really worth it. All the beautiful landscape, the mountain villages, and the activities all along this trail, they are fantastic. You should be in good condition to do this trip, and you should also have good equipment and enough supplies with you. But I'm thinking of doing it again next summer, so who knows, maybe we meet each other on the way. If so, come and say hi, it would be very funny. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and maybe we see us soon in the Jungfrau region. See you!